Hello again, NCAC sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in the NCAC. I'm your host, Brett Billhart. On this week's show, we will celebrate those student athletes who were named NCAC Athletes of the Week in their respective sports for the week ending on Sunday, September the 29th. We'll open this week's show by noting that all NCAC cross-country teams were idle last weekend, with the Ohio-based teams prepping for the All-Ohio Championships, which will take place in Cedarville, Ohio on Friday, October the 4th. We'll now shift our attention to the links and recognize our weekly award winners in men's and women's golf. The women's award went to Wittenberg sophomore Maggie Smith, who played a vital role in leading the Tigers to a second-place tie at the highly competitive DePaul Small College Classic held at the Deer Creek and Twin Bridges Golf Course in Clayton, Indiana. Smith was named to the all-tournament first team after finishing third overall in the individual standings with 154 strokes, which included back-to-back rounds of 77. As a team, Wittenberg finished deadlocked in the team standings with two-time defending NCAC champion DePaul after both Tiger squads finished with 641 strokes. The weekly award on the men's side went to Allegheny senior Oliver White, who earned individual champion medalist honors at Kenyon's BSN Fall Invitational after carding a 145 on the par 72, 6,855-yard Mount Vernon Country Club. Allegheny also topped the 18 field in the team standings with 608 strokes, while Ohio Northern was second with 614, and host Kenyon finished third with 621. NCAC men's and women's golf action continues this week throughout the conference, highlighted by Wabash hosting its annual Fall Classic on Saturday and Sunday at Crawfordsville Country Club. And now moving indoors, we'll celebrate the achievements of Wittenberg's Kara Seidenstricker, who was named the NCAC Volleyball Player of the Week. Seidenstricker, who resides in London, Ohio, logged a record-setting performance during the Tigers' perfect 3-0 week. In a 3-0 win over Rose Hulman on Saturday, she served up 9 aces to earn the school's single-game record in the 25-point format era and the second best performance in a single match all time. On the week overall, Seidenstricker hit .387 at a pace of 3.2 kills per set to go along with 25 digs, 14 aces, and 5 block assists. Following play last week, Wittenberg maintains its lead at the top of the NCAC volleyball standings, while DePaul and Hiram are tied for second at 2-0, and Allegheny rounds out the top four in fourth place with a 1-0 record against league foes. Volleyball teams will return to the court this week, with 3 league matches scheduled for tonight, October 1st, 1 on Wednesday, and 3 more on Saturday. We'll now shift our attention to the pitch and recognize a pair of Allegheny student athletes as the Gators swept the men's and women's soccer Player of the Week honors. The women's award went to Gator sophomore Hannah Zangara, who accounted for both Allegheny goals during a 1-0-1 week. In Wednesday's non-conference contest at Pitt Bradford, her goal in the 55th minute led to a 1-1 tie, while her goal in the 28th minute on Saturday was all the Gators needed to secure a key 1-0 victory over Denison. And following the first full weekend of NCAC women's soccer action, DePaul sits atop the league standings with 6 points, while Allegheny, Wittenberg, and Worcester all accumulated 3 points following wins on Saturday. The weekly award on the men's side went to Gator junior midfielder Cameron Olson after the Clifton Park, New York native helped guide Allegheny to a pair of wins last week. He sealed the Gators' 3-1 victory over Mount Union in non-conference action on Tuesday with a goal in the 79th minute, and then netted the game winner for the Gators on Saturday in a 2-1 league victory over Denison. Through the first full week of NCAC men's soccer action, 7 of the 10 league squads have earned at least 1 point, led by DePaul, who tops the standings with 4 total points. League action in both men's and women's soccer continues this weekend, with conference matches scheduled for both Friday and Saturday. Turning our attention to NCAC field hockey, we'll recognize Denison senior Katie McMahon, who earned the Player of the Week award after leading the Big Red to a pair of key league wins last week. In DU's 5-1 win over Worcester on Wednesday, the Wilmette, Illinois native posted her third career hat trick after tallying the first 3 goals of the second half in the 36th, 53rd, and 54th minutes. She then returned to action on Saturday with a goal and an assist in the Big Reds' 3-1 win over NCAC rival Kenyon. NCAC field hockey squads will wrap up the first half of the conference schedule this week, with DePaul currently leading the charge with a perfect 6-0 league record. And finally, we'll close out this week's show by recognizing our weekly award winners in football. Following one of the most exciting games in the NCAC in years, Denison Junior quarterback Brandon Sklenar garnered the weekly award for offense after he led the Big Red to a 47-41 double overtime victory over Ohio Wesleyan in Delaware on Saturday night. With OWU leading Denison 34-27 and just 1:12 left in regulation, Sklenar orchestrated a 7-play, 73-yard drive that was capped off by a 20-yard touchdown pass to sophomore Deshaun Brown with just 24 seconds showing on the clock. Sklenar finished the game with 369 yards of total offense, which included 205 yards through the air and 1 score, to go along with 164 rushing yards and 2 additional touchdowns. The win marked Denison's first victory at Ohio Wesleyan since September 28, 1985, which was exactly 28 years to the day of Saturday night's game. The weekly award on the defensive side of the ball went to Kenyon senior linebacker Colin Sullivan, who made a key play to preserve the Lords' narrow 28-26 home victory over DePaul. Following a DePaul score late in the fourth quarter, the Tigers lined up for a 2-point conversion try to tie the game. However, Sullivan charged through the middle of the DPU offensive line and dropped the Tigers quarterback to secure the 2-point win for Kenyon. Sullivan, who resides in Mentor, Ohio, finished the game with 6 tackles, which did include 4 tackles for loss and 1 sack. Through the first 2 weekends of league play, the W teams have risen to the top of the NCAC standings, as Wabash, Wittenberg, and Worcester are all a perfect 2-0 against conference competition. However, there will be a shakeup at the top of the standings after next weekend, as the marquee matchup on the schedule features Worcester hosting Wabash for a 1 p.m. kickoff. And fans, as always, for up-to-date news, stats, and standings from around the North Coast Athletic Conference, you can log on to our website at www.northcoast.org. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at NCAC, as well as like us on Facebook. And for the entire conference staff, I'm Brett Billhart. Thanks for watching, and let's go Try!